Hello, my name is Ryan, and today I will be walking you guys through how I built the smart doorbell for homework 7 of ENME435. So, first, the doorbell is built using a Raspberry Pi and a Raspberry Pi camera, which is then pointed at the door right there. And so, I have the Pi module at the top of that mount, and the Pi is running on the Trixie OS, which is like the newest version, and it runs over Wi-Fi through my phone's hotspot, so I can get alerts on my phone remotely. So here's a clip of me walking through the door, and as you can see, this is the video that the camera got, and so then motion is detected, and so once the script sees that there's motion detected, then what happens? Then I get an email here that shows smart doorbell motion detected, and it has a timestamp of exactly when it happened. And then, as you can also see, there's two images here that show an empty frame and a frame of me walking in. But wait, there's more. Here's another example of me walking out of my apartment, and the camera detected motion again. And to prove that it works, here is a clip of the email I got again that shows the timestamp of when it happened, and then followed by the two images of the door and me inside of the doorway. Alright, now let me walk you through how the code actually works. At the top, we have all of our settings, things like the image resolution, how long to wait between images, the blur amount, detection threshold, and the ROI coordinates, which basically say what area of the frame we want to monitor. And then we also have our email credentials down here. Next up, we have our initial camera setup, and this function basically starts up the PyCamera 2 library and then configures it for taking still photos at 1280 by 720 resolution. And then it waits 2 seconds on startup so the camera can auto adjust the brightness and the white balance. Moving on, we have our capture image, and this is called twice every cycle. So it'll be once for image 1 and then a second time for image 2. And that just tells PyCamera 2 to save a JPEG to the output folder. Then moving along, we have record video, and that's basically when someone is detected in the function, it switches the camera from taking a photo to taking a video. And that records for 10 seconds or however many seconds you want, depending on the length of the video you want. And then after it's done taking the video, it'll switch back to photo mode so that the detection loop can keep running again. Then we have build mask and apply mask over here. And these guys actually work together to define our ROI. And so the build mask creates a black image with a white rectangle where the doorway is. So this took a little bit of trial and error, but I found a good area that will be just the door. And then the apply mask multiplies that with the camera image. So everything outside that box goes black. And so random things like the rug or the stove or I don't know, a random roommate walking not in through the door, but like in the kitchen, it'll not trigger any false detections. Then detect motion is pretty much the core of the whole system, and it acts as like this is basically what makes it a ring camera. So it loads both images, applies the mask, and then converts it to grayscale, and then blurs them with Gaussian blur. So this is very similar to what we did with the lane detection. Um, but then yeah, whenever the pixels are different, it'll show up bright, and then the threshold, we can threshold that into a pure black and white image, and then dilate the white blobs and fill the gaps. So we'll find contours, and if any contour is bigger than our minimum area, then we can return it true, which means that motion was detected. And then if motion was detected, then we run this guy over here. So that sends the email. It'll send a message with the subject smart doorbell motion detected at whatever timestamp that it takes it at. And then after that, it'll show a little, the body of the message will be motion was detected at this time. Images 1 and 2 will take in with in this case, it's a 4-second delay. I chose 4 seconds because Originally, it was 2 seconds, and it was taking pictures too quick. Like I didn't have time to even walk through the door. So 4 seconds was the little Goldilocks number. And then also it told us that a 10-second video has been saved to your local Raspberry Pi folder. And so it won't send the video to the email, but it'll save it, which I can always download, which is what you saw earlier in the previous video. And then moving along, finally we have the main loop, which is pretty much going to run forever. So it's going to grab image 1 and image 2. It's going to run detect motion, and then if it comes back true, then it'll record the video and send the email and then repeat itself over and over again. And then the last thing I want to talk about is how I tuned the 3 main parameters. Okay, these are just blooper videos that I had when I was testing out my camera, so don't mind that. But for the Gaussian kernel, I want 21 by 21. When I tried smaller kernels like 5 by 5, it was way too sensitive and it was triggering shadows and small light changes, so I bumped it up. For the detection threshold, I kept it at 25 out of 255, and that basically controls how different a pixel needs to be between image 1 and image 2. And again, when I tried a low value like 10, it was picking up too much background noise. And then finally, for the time delay between both images, I started at 2 seconds, but there was really no difference between the pictures when I walked through the door. So I bumped it to 4 seconds, and that gave enough time for there to be a difference between the two images. And then it was obvious that, there was motion happening. And it ended up being pretty reliable every single time after that. And so, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this smart doorbell assignment. Thanks for watching.